Rich, you've seen quite a few of these over the years. Where does this one rank for the good, the bad, and the ugly?
It had a little bit of all of it, didn't it, Eamon? And I don't think it's quite there with what we saw at Medina in 2012, but it was close. I mean, we went to bed with the United States in a deep hole, but to their credit, they did not lay down on Sunday. And I did not think that at 5 o'clock on that afternoon, we would have zero interest in checking football scores. I don't think anybody was watching football. At about 4 o'clock, I was looking up greatest sports comebacks, not just golf, but sports comebacks in history. And George, I think, could go chapter and verse on that, as good as he is at all sports. And if Shane Lowry doesn't make that putt, you just try for a second to imagine how the pressure escalates even more than it had already been ratcheted up. So it was a great Sunday. That essay you just ran was sort of an emergency essay. It was not the one that had been written, which was going to be extremely critical of the United States and how they go about all of this. So I maybe, upon considering this further for all of the good, the bad, and the ugly, for all of it, wrapped into one, then it's right up there. I suppose for raw excitement, I still think 2012 and even 99, those frantic, furious, frenetic comebacks are slightly ahead or right there. I'm not big into rankings, but this was about as ugly as I've seen. For the life of me, I don't get it. I don't know why we have to tolerate it. We sort of now our default position is, well, this is the way it is. Why? I think Brandel said yesterday they don't tolerate it at Augusta National, and I don't know why we have to tolerate it in this setting. And while we're on the subject of environment, and the Europeans create the conditions that make it more likely they're going to succeed. Why can't the PGA of America create the environment that allows this to come off where it is not crossing the line? I think, to use Paul McInley's phrase, they need a root and branch review here. If you're going back even to Valhalla, I don't want to go too deep into it. That was a black mark. Let's not sugarcoat it. What happened in 2024 and what happened here in 2025. It's a wonderful organization in so many ways. They serve the game, all of us who love the game, but they have a lot to consider here with what went wrong. Why do we need the blaring music? Somebody said to me that on the first tee, Eamon and George, they couldn't hear the chants, and that to them, the Ryder Cup, one of the great elements are those chants, the songs from the Europeans, the songs from the United States. They couldn't hear them because the music was so loud. I don't need rock concert music to get me hyped for a Ryder Cup. I just don't. In fact, it takes away. It's unoriginal. It's uninspiring. And we don't need it. Get rid of it. The comedian on the first tee, utter embarrassment. I'm bordering on a disgrace. So what are we doing? And I think that's questions that the PGA of America needs to be thinking about in the days ahead. So good. The good was obviously the Europeans. What the Americans did on Sunday, all credit to them for getting up off the mat. The bad would be, some of the Keegan Bradley pairings, the setup to the golf course. The great would be the European spirit. You guys had a phenomenal conversation on Rory McIlroy. I don't think there's any doubt this is his most memorable, most meaningful year. There's a bigness to Rory's, not just to Rory's game. There is a bigness to his spirit. There's a bigness to his dreams. There's a bigness to his capacity for inspiring other people. And all of that, I think, was on display. He is a stone cold legend of the game. And while, what they do individually really has no I'm sorry, what they do collectively in the team environment really doesn't have much of an impact on how they're viewed historically. It doesn't determine whether or not they go to the Hall of Fame. I do think it can burnish someone's legacy, and Rory understands that. And so. Now that you got me talking and thinking, Eamon, for all that we have to talk about in the aftermath, there's probably never been one quite like this. So you got me there. Thank you.
I would say with Rory, it's been amazing to see. Remember, he was running on fumes at the 21 Ryder Cup, had a losing record, did not play well, apologetic in the aftermath. To then lead not one, two consecutive victories has been amazing. And for him to say, like the Tim Tebow, after losing to Ole Miss type declaration, we're going to win the Ryder Cup on the road at the winners' press conference in 23, I thought was an amazing declarative statement to make and then to follow through. The flip side, though, Rich, and I want to get to the U.S. side, because the final margin, in my opinion, was deceiving. It was a fun Sunday to watch. Data golf at the peak, I think the U.S. still had a 12% chance of winning. So it was like being down 2 touchdowns, scoring one late, trying an onside, not getting it. You lose by a touchdown. You're never fully in it. And it's now dating back to 1993, the last time the Americans have won on the road. They're going to Ireland in 2027. I was 8 years old the last time they won on the road. So this has been a very one-sided affair. The President's Cup was launched in 94. The U.S. side plays a team competition every year. The Europeans gear up and spend 2 years focusing on the Ryder Cup. Does the President's Cup have any impact on the U.S. Ryder Cup performance?
Maybe. I don't know that it's too much. I don't think it should be, but I understand the argument. I think it has to do more with the approach here. I said this earlier in the week. The Europeans have a sophisticated, holistic operation. It is an operation with a full-time and, frankly, ruthless CEO in Luke Donald. Leaves no stone unturned. The United States doesn't have that. They're wayward. I just don't think they know where they want to go. And I think Keegan Bradley is sort of evidence of that. And I try to say this respectfully because I do think Keegan tried his best. I think he did some good things. But to appoint a 39-year-old captain who's a 13th ranked player of the world, who is on a full-time basis competing, and ask him to handle the Ryder Cup as well, I think that sets you up for a mismatch. And I think philosophically, it has more to do with the philosophical approach, that this does, it seem, to mean more to the Europeans. And again, I'll go back to, I did an event with Paul and Brandel last night, and Paul said really that the essence of their approach in Europe is very simple. He says, we try to make this fun for the players. Now, that sounds simple. After that, it is all about creating the conditions for this to be fun. Chemistry matters. It's why the Europeans are significantly better in foursomes play over the last 30 years. If you create the conditions for this to be fun, take them to Dumbo, do the New York gangster shoot, hang out at Friar's Head and Shinnecock, put them in houses with chefs, drinking wine deep into the night in the week before, you're more likely to be unified when it matters. You're more likely to be comfortable. You're more likely to be loose. You're more likely to make the putts when the pressure is ratcheted up. And so the United States needs to look at the European template and try to create that. I also, Brandel and I were pushing this Justin Leonard for some time. I think Leonard is a close match for Luke Donald, just in terms of how organized, how thoughtful, how disciplined he is. And, I think Justin's sneaky. We saw this when he hosted Live From for a couple of years, has a good sense of humor. So what it all adds up to is Europe's better together. They are much better at messaging. They're better at preparing. They're better in the media, and they're better on the scoreboard. I can't look, and I think some of this is cultural, and Eamon probably could speak to this. Europeans just are more inclined to sit at a cafe and drink wine deep into the night. And, I can't tell you how many people said to me, American friends of mine, their favorite players were on the European side. I'm their favorite week to week. Rory, Tommy, Shane Lowry, Rosie, Ludwig, Victor Hovland. Favorite players, guys that you'd want to pop open a bottle of wine with. So it's not as simple as the President's Cup. It's much deeper than just that.
We're already seeing some chatter, Rich, about the idea that, or the expectation even, that Tiger might lead the US team at a Durham Manor 2 years from now, which seems to fall into the same trap of always looking for some kind of strongman captain, but never actually developing a plan, never developing a playbook that's portable from team to team. And the Gleneagles Ryder Cup was a prime example of how you put McInley with his record against Tom Watson, and it was proof that a team rallies around a player and a leader, not a resume. Do you think America really needs to break away from this idea of choosing a captain based on his individual accomplishments and more so on somebody who actually has a plan or a vision, whoever that might be?
Yes. Emphatically, yes.
Will they do that, though?
I probably not. Probably not. I think I don't have much more to say on that. I doubt they'll do it. I think you're absolutely right. Our great friend Paul McInley is the best example of that. Paul was, you know what, George, you follow baseball, right? Some of the great managers through the years were sort of like utility players. There might have been 240 hitters. I'm thinking of a Davy Johnson or a Davy Lopes, guys like that. They weren't the superstar sluggers. They're the more, they had to be cerebral about the game, tactically on top of things. And that's Paul McInley will tell you that. And I just would say that that's the reason I consider Paul to be one of the greatest success stories in the history of the sport. You're like, well, why would you say that of a guy who won 4 times on the European Tour? It's because when he was 19 years old, he was a 5 handicap playing Gaelic football. And 25 years later, he beat Tom Watson at the Ryder Cup. And when I spent the day with Paul out in California in the run-up to that Gleneagles Ryder Cup, about 7 months out, just to get a sense of who he was, this kind of, relatively unknown figure, at least in the United States, I came away so impressed that I wrote a line for the piece. And again, with respect to the legendary Tom Watson, whom I greatly admire, I wrote, the United States has the legend, Europe has the leader. This isn't about what you did as a player. It's nice. It is, are you up to this particular job? And boy, Luke Donald, you talk about shrewd, and all of it matters, Eamon and George. How you address the world in your opening speech. I remember seeing Luke Donald in the opening ceremony in Rome. And he opened, what was it, the first 30 seconds or so in Italian. We turned to each other in our little trailer and said, U.S. is 2 down. It's all of a piece, all of it. It's so well thought out. It's so considerate. It's about winning the crowd, winning the media before you step on the field of play to try to win your match. Even last night, Paulie shared with us that at the party, Sunday night, Paul sat with Eddie Molinari and Luke Donald for a review because it was fresh in their minds. What did they do wrong? Should we have changed the Sunday lineup? Maybe we shouldn't have played Rory and John and Tommy 5 matches because they were gutted, they were exhausted, emotionally and physically exhausted. They're already looking at Ireland, and again that goes to how sophisticated the operation is, how it is. They're never out of business. It isn't like, oh, we lost this Ryder Cup. Let's get a whole new team in here, which is what the United States is going to do. No, the business, this operation that I talked about, sophisticated, holistic, it keeps going. It doesn't stop. It's full time. And it is everything to them. It's they consider past players. It's part of the reason they didn't take the money. It would have been disrespectful in their view to the players that came before him, to the Eamon Darcys and the Paul Ways. There's no aspect of this that the Europeans do not thoughtfully consider in ways that we don't. We are really good at the rah-rah. We're good at the, come on, fans, let's go. They're good at the Ryder Cup. Big difference.
Yeah, it's all the small decisions that they make that lead up in these 2-year cycles and why they're on this stage and always able to perform. And Rich, to play off your MLB analogy, I'll give you 2 NBA head coaches, Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, who were bench guys.
Perfect.
And 2 of the best coaches of all time.
That's it, George.
Really good note there with Paul McInley. We wish we could spend all show with you. Our producer Chloe's to say, all right, we got to wrap it up. We got to wrap it up.
Chloe. You sound like, wait a minute, George, you sound like Matt Haggerty. That's not how Chloe sounds. That's Matt Haggerty. You're killing me.